You're listening to the Betoota Advocates Weekly News Wrap on Desert Rock FM 96.5. Welcome back to the weekly Betoota Bulletin. You've got myself, Clancy Overall, and Effie Bateman, and there's a lot going on in the news.
Yes, there is. Lots of sports going on this weekend too.
Unfortunately, that's just the world we live in, Effie Bateman. You know, sport rules, jocks rule, and art's lame. So.
I take it you'll be watching all the games this weekend then?
I take it you will be too, because you've seen what Reece Walsh and Paddy Carrigan looks like.
Yes, I didn't know that the Broncos were so good looking.
It's just a thing. Queenslanders in general, really.
Just good looking people.
Yeah, of course we're going to have, Gold Coast boys like Reece Walsh and, Brisbane boys like Paddy Carrigan and, of course, Charleville boys like Kurt Capewell. It's just, just built different, A couple of New South Wales players in there as well, but they're the less attractive ones. What about you?
Oh, I've been getting into The Walking Dead.
Okay.
So I'm watching it for the first time, and I think I've got a pretty boring one, actually. I'm thinking about buying a record player. That's
a bit of fun.
Yeah, so I know now that I'm definitely turning 30.
Yeah, I mean, record players aren't necessarily... They're kind of a bygone era, so they're not really indicative of your age. Just more your interests. And are you kind of moving on from the bottomless champagne brunches to a cup of tea?
No, I'm not that far gone.
Okay, well then 30's the best year. But if you do want to see some Walking Dead, you should head down to the main street at around 10 p.m. On Sunday night, and you'll see a bunch of blokes either heartbroken or elated for a sporting match that has been played by people they've never met and weirdly personally invested in.
Well, I hope they're as good looking as the Broncos.
They won't be. What have we got up first?
Well, starting off, what is Bogancore, the unique Australian aesthetic that has taken the world by storm?
Yes, Bogancore is popping off on TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, all those websites that people look at to look at pretty things. There's a few different, elements to Bogancore. Perhaps you live amongst this aesthetic. Perhaps you've seen it from afar. Perhaps you didn't even know it had a name. Well, it does. And the first on the list of Bogancore staples is the Lazy Boy Recliner.
Yes, so this one will usually only be used by the dad. This is the dad chair.
Head of the household.
Head of the household. It's perfect for kicking back and watching a game of footy, or maybe popping some music concerts on DVD like Fleetwood Mac,
Johnny Cash,
Pink Floyd. So the Lazy Boy Recliner is the crown jewel of the Bogancore Lounge collection. And to really commit to the theme, these recliners should be brown, leather, or pleather, and come with 2 deep cup holders to fit a Tooheys or a VB.
Or 4X bitter, or a Slurpee if you're that way inclined.
And bonus points if there's some unnecessary tech, so we're thinking USB ports.
Up next on the list of Bogancore staples, pixelated wedding photo canvas.
Yeah, so this one's usually hung above the lounge or right near the entry point of the house, and it's a wedding photo that's been blown up on a Kmart canvas, and this is the creme de la creme of Bogancore. So if possible, it should also be paired with a barefoot family photo shoot on the beach.
The second marriage barefoot family photo shoot on the beach.
Yes. And that's the one where in the first marriage, she could never convince her husband to do the photo shoot. So she goes and gets the second one to do it. Yeah.
Yep. And all the kids who are now obviously teenagers at this point and wearing the same clothes their dad is. It's good stuff. Up next, we have the Staffy.
Yes, the humble Staffy makes the perfect Bogan family pet. However, if you're not keen on Staffies, you can complete the look by adopting a Rottie, Husky, or Bull Arab, which you must give a tough masculine name like Glock or Tank, and it should have massive balls as well.
That's important. It cannot be desexed.
Absolutely not.
It must be rooting everything in sight. Up next, we have the expensive home cinema system. This is a must and has been since the earliest days of the mining boom.
Yeah, so Bogans, they do not fuck around when it comes to the home entertainment or to tech. So expect to fork out a few thousand for a good quality plasma TV, and surround sound system must be combined with an extensive DVD collection despite subscribing to multiple streaming platforms.
DVDs that mean a lot to you. The DVD is a testament. Blu-ray.
Jim Jeffries.
Yep. Fast and the Furious.
Oh, absolutely. Bit of Adam Sandler as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, we have the session table, the sesh table.
Yep, and just like all mean girls and nurses, but not all nurses and mean girls, you can own a sesh table without being a bogan, but all bogans own a sesh table.
Absolutely. Please send in your favourite Bogancore items. I think I've got all of them in my house, and I'm very proud of it. What's up next?
Probably the biggest story of this week, Dan Andrews has resigned to spend more time with family, Bill Gates and the Chinese government.
Yes, Victorian Premier Dan Andrews has sensationally resigned this week, ending a decades-long career in the public service of Australia's weirdest people. Speaking to the media today in Melbourne, Mr Andrews said he was beginning to think about a life after politics. He said, "I want to spend more time at home watching the kids grow up and being more present. That's what I want to do," he said. "Obviously, I'll always be spending time with my close personal friend Bill Gates. We're actually going around Kingston Heath on the weekend. We're also thinking about doing Cape Wickham and the Barnbougle next week. And big old chur to my friends in the Chinese government party. Wagwan, my brothers. Ni hao ma." Now, look, without the help of the Chinese government again, we don't know where we'd be as a state. The pandemic was the toughest part of my political life, and we really were building the plane as we were flying it. So without my close personal friend Bill Gates and my brother from another mother, Xi Jinping, I think we'd be just a fancy high-tech version of Tasmania. Victoria, that is, not Melbourne.
Up next, some Queensland news as Brisbane Lions fan bonds with Broncos fan about how the rest of Australia can suck their dicks.
Yes, local bloke Ambrose Jennings, 44, is a modern man. He works on a computer at home. He lives in one of those Brisbane suburbs with really old trees in the main street. Sometimes in the winter, they even put fairy lights on these trees. He prefers drinking non-dairy for no reason other than the fact that he enjoys laying cable with a bit of fibre in it. He also drinks red wine without ice cubes in it. Obviously, with refined tastes like this, Ambrose is a Brisbane Lions supporter and makes up a niche community of Queensland AFL fans that began watching the Victorian game when they realised that their kids could play a sport that didn't actively encourage concussing opponents in under-12s. With a neighbourhood made up of resin jewellery arts collectors and highbrow homosexuals, Ambrose has no one in his immediate vicinity to share his newfound hooliganism with. That was until he saw a man in the bottle shop this afternoon with a Brisbane Broncos tattoo. It doesn't happen very often, but Ambrose extended his hand in solidarity with the shy rugby league fan and bonded with him over their shared excitement about both Brisbane teams making their respective grand finals. "You a fan?" said Ambrose to the sceptical NRL fan, who took a long hard look at Ambrose's paddy cap. "Lions fan here," said Ambrose, "but it's great to be from Brisbane this weekend." "Fucking oath," said the NRL fan with a spiky mohawk mullet. "Up the Lions." Ambrose smiles and shakes the man's hand. They must be so filthy down south. They can suck our dicks.
Lastly, some entertainment news and Narcos Season 4 to be set in a suburban Australian tobacconist.
Yes, traditionally set in the 1980s Colombia or following violent Mexican cartel wars, the creators of the hit TV show Narcos have decided to take the show to suburban Australia for Season 4. One producer said, "We really think this is a forgotten story. The Australian vape industry is mysterious. It's a multi-billion-dollar chess game being played out from shipping entry ports all the way to local convenience stores. The best part is, no one even knows what is and isn't illegal. Not even the police."
Some critics say the move to Australia can make for a dull storyline, but the show is confident that it can keep the same dangerous energy that previous seasons had.
Have you ever seen a vape addict that hasn't been able to have a hit for a day? It's worse than anything we've seen in previous seasons. We are really pushing the envelope with Season 4.
That reminds me when, was it Ozark, to escape drug people, they decided to go to the Gold Coast?
Yes, that was very funny. The Gold Coast, it's the safest place we can be. It's pretty similar to Ozarks. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Weekly Betoota. My name's Clancy Overall.
I'm Effie Bateman.
Bye-bye.